said, I'm coming to you live from Brooklyn right now. And a couple quick things before we go to a video, and that is that an update on the Boxing for Charity. As you know, Mayor Gabe Campana has respectfully declined, and this week, Sheriff Mark Lusk also declined. He said he didn't, one of his staff members called me and said he was not interested in raising money for charity, for diversity. I think that we should be embracing diversity in Lycoming County and also for unity in Lycoming County. And as I suspected, Police Chief Greg Forsman, neither he nor his office got back to me, but of course now it's too late. I mean, he's had over a month to get back to me. I told him originally that January 1st was the deadline, and then I said that this show was the deadline, Sunday, January 18th at 8 p.m., and neither Police Chief Forsman nor anyone from his staff got back to me, so I guess he doesn't want to raise any money for charity. And of course, District Attorney Eric Linhart, neither he nor any of his staff got back to me, but my understanding from my sources are that's not unusual. The District Attorney Linhart's office rarely ever calls anybody back, which I don't understand. I mean, we pay his salary, we're Lycoming County residents, he should be calling us back. So I'm not exactly sure what's going on in DA Eric Linhart's office, other than they're wasting a lot of money, which I'll get to later in the show. But I never heard back from DA Eric Linhart, despite calling him on 2 separate occasions, letting him know during my show he's had over a month to respond, and never got back to me. Now, the first thing we're going to do here is we're going to go to a video that I made earlier this week before I left for New York City and Brooklyn, New York. And this is about the Lycoming County Courthouse, their waste of money and adult probation, which is headed by Chief Ed McCoy. In the DA's office, the DA is Eric Linhart. In domestic relations, the chief is Patty Clementoni, and of course in family court, the main family court judge, my understanding, is Joy Reynolds McCoy. So let's go to that video right now, Stephen. Thank you.
Okay, this is the Pete White Show in my office. New topic, adult probation. Just so that you guys know, believe it or not, I have an ankle monitor on, a GPS, so that adult probation knows where I go. And the crazy thing about this is I have never committed a crime. I have never been charged with, nor arrested for, nor convicted of any felony or any misdemeanor. I have this ankle monitor on because Joy Reynolds McCoy, a district court judge in Lycoming County, somehow thinks that I'm some kind of threat because I opened a van door of a van that I owned at the time and said hello to my children, and my estranged wife yelled to me from over 100 feet away to get away from her car. And I looked back at her and I said, I'm allowed to see my children. There was a car, a fence, and a baseball field between me and my wife at the time, and all I wanted to do was say hello to my kids that were inside the van that she happened to be driving that day, but it was my van. So I opened the front door of the van, looked in the van, wanted to say hello to my kids. She yells to me, get away from the van, and I yell back to her, I'm allowed to see my kids. And all of a sudden now, I'm a big threat to society, so I need to wear this GPS, which is kind of amazing, because as we saw in our first show, there's a woman out there who hit somebody with a hammer, allegedly, and she got $2,500 bail, which seems appropriate to me because you're innocent until proven guilty. But for me, my bail was a $25,000 cash and an ankle monitor, which is ridiculous. Like I'm some kind of threat to society. What a waste of taxpayer money. I mean, think about this. First of all, that thing costs $50 to hook up. Plus it costs $16 a day to have it on. Plus adult probation has a probation officer who I have to contact anytime that I'm planning on going into a couple restricted areas. I have to let him know 48 hours in advance. He does not let me go there to work. He doesn't let me leave the county to work. I mean, I have run basketball camps when we had a camp in Edinburgh University that was planned for months, and he would not let me leave Lycoming County to go to the his supervisors would not let me leave Lycoming County to go to the camp, which was in Edinburgh, Pennsylvania, which is in northwestern PA near Erie. Because I have this ankle monitor on, I'm not allowed to leave the county. So who suffers? My 4 sons, because since I can't go to the basketball camps, and that's my business, and I couldn't get paid for those camps. And that camp, and our Keystone State Camp supports 2 families, and now I'm not getting paid because I can't go run my basketball camp. My 73-year-old father has to do everything himself. Normally it's a 2-man operation with a bunch of people who are independent contractors or volunteers. So instead of it being my father and I and a bunch of our helpers, it's just my father, a 73-year-old man that has to run a camp at Edinburgh University, which is 4 hours away, because I'm some kind of threat to society. I mean, that's ridiculous. and then I don't have money to pay my child support because they're stopping me from doing one of the things I'm supposed to do on probation, which is one of the requirements is to pay my child support. Well, how do you pay your child support if your job is in Edinburgh and you're not allowed to go there because of some judge in her ultimate lack of wisdom says, hey, you need to wear an ankle monitor because you're a threat to society for opening a car door and yelling, I can see my kids, whereas she doesn't say, hey, you allegedly hit somebody with a hammer. You know, we're worried about you because you are a threat to society. I mean, you allegedly assaulted somebody. Let's not put an ankle monitor on you. You're a female. You know, let's put an ankle monitor on Pete White. I mean, you know, he believes in free speech, and you know, let's put an ankle monitor on him. He's a male. Doesn't make any sense. Also, more taxpayer waste of money. They have to pay my probation officer to monitor me at all times, 24/7. When he's asleep at his house, somebody has to monitor me because what if I went into a restricted area? What if I left the county? Which of course I didn't do. You know, because like I said, I've never been accused of nor convicted of any misdemeanor or any felony, and it even says right on my paperwork, no crime. What I was convicted of was civil contempt. You know, Judge Joy Reynolds McCoy she said that I was guilty of civil contempt, which both a public defender and my private attorney advised me that it was a de minimis violation at most. By opening a car door, saying hello to my kids, and yelling back to her, you know, I can see my kids. Both a public defender and my private attorney both said that was a de minimis violation at most, that I'd probably get a $100 fine. Instead, she gave me a $300 fine, kept me on this ridiculous ankle monitor to waste taxpayer money, and she also said, hey, you know, you're some kind of threat to society, even though you never touched anybody. So it's just kind of amazing. I have paperwork that says no crime, and I have a county judge saying that somehow I'm a threat to society. And check with my probation officer. I've never been in. Also, I have to be in at 9 o'clock at night. I'm 48 years old. I got to be in my house at 9 o'clock at night. My children primarily live with my estranged wife, so it's not like I have to be there to watch them sleep. But yet, Joy thinks I need to be in the house at 9 o'clock at night, which is ridiculous. I'm 48 years old. Also, I don't have a drinking problem. They had me go get evaluated by West Branch Drug and Alcohol. No drinking problem, no drug problem. Never took a recreational drug in my life. Not even smoked a cigarette in my life. And I'm not allowed to drink alcohol, even in my own home. Absolutely ridiculous. I'm 48 years old. I can't sip on San Frangelico on my back patio and contemplate the end of the day. I mean, that's absolutely ridiculous. You know, I'm some kind of threat to society. What a waste of taxpayer money. I mean, 24/7, this guy has to monitor me. Even when he's off duty, he's got to monitor me, and that's ridiculous. Plus, you know, they gave me, I think they've given me 3 or 4 drug tests. Of course, none of them showed anything, not even, because I've never taken a recreational drug in my life, only the 2 prescriptions I take every morning. I've never even smoked a cigarette, once again, and, you know, as far as alcohol use, I don't have an alcohol problem, so if they tell me not to drink, I don't drink. I think that's ridiculous, but I don't do it. Then, I referee basketball games on Monday night, East Lake Cumming Y, and I tell my probation officer that, hey, the last game starts at 8:15, so I won't be done until 9:15, and he tells me, well, I can't referee that last game, I got to be in by 9 o'clock. That's ridiculous. I told him, fine, then come and violate my probation. At 9:01, meet me at the East Lake Cumming Y, walk right on the basketball court, arrest me or detain me in front of all the middle school girls that I'm refereeing the game for, hurt those children, hurt my children, because if you violate me, I got to go to jail until there's a hearing, so that's like for 6 or 7 days. It's like 6 to 10 days. And how can I pay my child support? I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous, the waste of taxpayer money that's going on in the adult probation office. Anyhow, and just so you know, not that this is that important to everybody, but I do have some diplomas. This is my Yale diploma. If you can't read it, it's in Latin. But that's my bachelor's degree from Yale, a BA in economics, which is business. This is the college I was at Yale, Trumbull College. That's one of the 12 residential colleges, class of 1988. And this is my law degree, my Juris Doctor degree, my JD. This is from Georgetown University Law Center. It's also in Latin, so you may have trouble reading it. But if you see right here, Juris Doctor, which means I could be referred to as Dr. White, because I have just as much education, if not more, than the mayor. And the mayor doesn't refer to himself as Mr. Campana or Mayor Campana. He refers to himself as Dr. Campana. Well, the truth of the matter is that I have just as much, if not more, education than him. But Joy Reynolds McCoy refuses to refer to me as Dr. White, despite the fact that I have a Juris Doctor degree right here, and there's proof of it. And she also made me go to, let's look over here in my office, she also made me go to a Men Against Abuse program, which I graduated from, because opening a car door and looking back at somebody and saying I'm allowed to see my kids somehow, is some kind of contact. I don't think that was contact with my wife. I mean, she was nowhere near me. Plus, obviously, there was no abuse. I never touched her, nor was I ever accused of ever touching her, in any inappropriate way. But in her ultimate lack of wisdom, she sent me this Men Against Abuse program. And as you know, when you send somebody to a program or to a state prison when they're not a criminal, what you end up learning is how to be a criminal. So what I learned at the Men Against Abuse program was how to abuse women, which is something I really didn't want to know, but now I do know how to abuse women because I got to listen to stories of other men, who did admit that they abused women, and I got to listen to their stories and how they did it, and I got to be advised about Men Against Abuse. But of course, to be advised about against abuse, you have to be advised about abuse. So in my case, what I learned was how to abuse women. Probably not a good thing to teach people, because I think women are equal to men, even though I know that Joy doesn't think that. I mean, she thinks that women in Lycoming County are second-rate citizens, whereas I think that women are similar to men. So and by the way, on my Pete White Show Facebook page, 2 different women commented and asked me, hey, would I be willing to box a woman for charity? And I said, absolutely. I think women are equal to men. In fact, there's one thing that women can do that men can't do, and that is they can bear children, whereas men can't do everything that women can do, but women can do everything that men can do. So absolutely. I mean, Joy, hey, if you want to raise some money for charity, come on in the ring. You get some lessons, step in the ring. I mean, I know anyhow. Also, if Joy, if you don't want to do it, also getting back to probation, I believe that the head of adult probation, Lycoming County, has the same last name as you, McCoy. I believe his first name is Ed. So Ed McCoy, hey, don't forget, if your relative Joy McCoy doesn't want to get in the ring because she doesn't think that men are equal to women, or she just doesn't want to raise money for charity, don't forget, I'll take on Ed McCoy. Ed, this is for you. Let's raise some money for charity. It'll be a lot of fun. Thanks very much. This is the Pete White Show coming to you from my office, right in front of my Men Against Abuse program certificate of completion, where I learned how to abuse women, which I never do and never will do. And like I said, when you put people who are not criminals in with people who are accused of doing something wrong, they learn how to do things wrong. I don't think that's such a good idea. So President, Judge, Butts out there, think about that when you guys have people take programs or send them to state prison when they're not criminals. It also says right on your paperwork.
Okay, thank you very much. All right. Very good report that came from my office in Williamsport, Pennsylvania, in Old Lycoming Township. And a couple quick things to review. The waste of taxpayer money by the Lycoming County Courthouse. First of all, in family court. Okay, Joy Reynolds McCoy. She is the primary family court judge. Let me backtrack a little bit with this story. Okay? Now, I was picked up, I believe, on a Tuesday night in late August, and I went in front of a magistrate, Karn, who set my bail at $25,000 straight cash bail for opening a car door and saying, I can see my kids. A de minimis violation at most, according to a private attorney and a public defender. And Magistrate Karn, who, thank God, is retiring when his term ends, because otherwise, I would advocate not having him elected for another term, set my bail at $25,000. Now, last week, we had a woman another woman broke into her home, allegedly, and assaulted her with a hammer while a policeman from Williamsport Police Force stood outside. And Magistrate Page set her bail at $2,500 cash. Now, that, it seems to me, was an allegation of a violent crime, and Magistrate Page, because in America you are innocent until proven guilty, set $2,500 bail, thinking that was enough to get the defendant to show up for the hearing, because that's what bail is for. If you don't show up for a hearing, you lose the amount of your bail. So Magistrate Page believes in the Constitution, it seems to me, and he carried out the Constitution by setting a $2,500 bail. Whereas Joy Reynolds McCoy, Magistrate Karn set $25,000 straight cash bail for a male who's never been in trouble in his life ever, was not accused of any crime. Obviously there was nothing physical. There was no allegation of assault or anything like that. Set it at $25,000 cash bail. Just like I said, it's a good thing that he is retiring, because the chances of him being reelected would be very slim, as far as I'm concerned, because there is a constitution out there, and when we elect these former policemen to be district magistrates, and they don't have the education to understand the law, and they do things like this, that's pretty amazing. So anyhow, then what happened was, that was on a Tuesday, and it was at 10 o'clock at night. Now, where does somebody come up with $25,000 cash at 10 p.m.? So I was given the option to either stay overnight in jail or to pay 7% to a bail bondsman and get to sleep in my own home. And what I decided to do was that I was going to go ahead and sleep overnight in jail, and then the next morning I would make bail, because once the bank's open, I could get the $25,000 cash. I could have somebody get it for me and post bail, because the bail is supposed to be to show up at your hearing. And my hearing was scheduled for the following, I believe, Monday or Tuesday. So in the meantime, I got out of jail like around noontime on a Wednesday. I spent the night in jail, no problem. And then on Wednesday came and went. And then on Thursday, the work day came and went. And on Wednesday afternoon, after 5 p.m., a sheriff's deputy showed up to my place of employ back then and gave me a summons to be present at a hearing the very next day, which was Friday, at 1 p.m. in front of Judge Joy Reynolds McCoy at 1 p.m. the following day. Now, this was after business hours, and it was for the very next day. There was going to be a hearing the very next day, because District Attorney Eric Linhart's office decided that for some reason they wanted to put an ankle monitor GPS on me, because they felt that someone who opens a car door and says, "I can see my kids," to his wife, who is 100 feet away, and there's a car and a fence between us, because she was on a baseball field and I was in the parking lot. In his ultimate lack of wisdom, Eric Linhart in his office decided that I need to have a GPS, because somehow I was a threat to society, even though I've never ever been accused of, nor ever hit my wife. I've never hit my wife, nor have I ever been accused of it. But yet Eric Linhart decided he wanted to waste taxpayer money and have an ankle monitor put on me. So he sends one of his assistant district attorneys. I believe his name was Cuccio. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I believe that it was Cuccio. And we went to a hearing in front of Joy McCoy, and Joy Reynolds McCoy, in her lack of ultimate wisdom, somehow agrees with Eric Linhart and Cuccio that despite the fact that I've never ever been in trouble in my life, nor have I ever been accused of nor convicted of hitting anyone, that I needed to wear an ankle monitor or GPS, so they knew where I was at all times. They gave me less than 24 hours notice before the hearing, and we went to the hearing, and Joy McCoy says, yes, he needs to wear an ankle monitor. And she says, so they take me back to Sheriff Lusk's holding cell and tell me that, hey, we need to transport you over to the jail so that they can put the GPS on your ankle in jail. And I got a message from adult probation saying that, I got a message from supervised bail or adult probation saying that they would put the ankle monitor on Friday afternoon. I would be out of there before 5 o'clock. So what ends up happening is, the sheriff's office transports me to the jail on a Friday before Labor Day, and I sit in jail Friday afternoon. Nothing happens. I'm in jail all day Saturday, all day Sunday, all day Monday, which was Labor Day, and then finally on Tuesday, I end up with a psychological evaluation that obviously was paid for by the county, because they said for someone to get an ankle bracelet on, that you have to have a psych eval and a home inspection. So Joy Reynolds McCoy told the probation parole supervised bail person to tell me that I would be out of there on Friday afternoon by 5 o'clock. And now all of a sudden it's Tuesday, and I'm still in jail for the whole weekend, which is like my understanding is $55 or $75 a night to have a person like Cumming County Jail. And this is someone who has never been accused of any misdemeanor, any felony, never was accused of hitting anyone. And I'm spending the Labor Day weekend in jail because Joy McCoy said, "Oh, you'll be out this afternoon," and the prison said, "No, that's not how it works. When you're on supervised bail and have to have an ankle monitor, you have to get a psych eval. And of course, on Friday afternoon before Labor Day, there's no psychiatrist at the prison to give you a psych exam. So we'll have to wait until Tuesday." So the Labor Day weekend came and went. I spent the weekend in jail. And then on Tuesday, what happens is that at 4 o'clock, a psychiatrist, an MD, a doctor, comes and gives me a psych eval. And she says to me when we're done, "Hey, I'm not going to have them send you back to your cell yet. I'm going to fax this over to Judge Lavecchio so that maybe you can be out of here by 5 o'clock. Because this whole thing is ridiculous." And I agreed with her that it is ridiculous, and because obviously I passed the psych eval, and so she tried faxing something over to Judge Lavecchio and over to Judge McCoy. 5 o'clock came and went. I was still in jail, and then I found out the next day that I would be getting out on the Thursday. Like the next day was Wednesday because the supervised bail people, the parole people, the probation people had to do a home inspection. Now, they had Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday to do this home inspection, and they decided not to do it. They decided they were going to do it on Wednesday. So on Wednesday, they went and did a home inspection. I don't rent. I own my own home. So I mean, I'm not sure what they needed to inspect. They know that I'm a Democrat. That I don't believe in carrying handguns, because the problem with carrying handguns is you might use them. And yet these guys wait until Wednesday to do the home inspection. So I spend Wednesday, comes and goes. I'm still in jail. And then finally on Thursday, I'm left out of jail. So I spent 1 week in jail because Joy Reynolds McCoy said I needed to have an ankle monitor on for a non-violent accusation of an alleged crime. Totally incredible. Do you realize how much money that was wasted by the courthouse in that? They had to pay $65 or $75 a night for me to stay in jail for a week, where I shouldn't have been there. Plus, there were many, many other people that I could tell their stories about how they shouldn't have been there either. Our prisons are overcrowded. We have to pay Clinton County to take prisoners of Lycoming County to Clinton County to house them. Our prisons are overcrowded, and yet people like Joy Reynolds McCoy are sending people to jail for no reason, just wasting taxpayer money, which is why she should not be reelected, by the way. Because otherwise, I mean, who knows how much the county commissioners are going to have to raise our taxes. They just raised our taxes last month, for the upcoming year. And because there's many, many people in jail on things like this that have nothing to do with crimes, have nothing to do with violence, that they just want to fill up, that people like Joy Reynolds McCoy, who, like I said, should not be reelected, are filling up the prison with people who don't do things wrong. And she also forgets the Constitution, which is you're innocent until proven guilty. So anyhow, so I had this GPS monitor on me for 5 months, as it turned out, and I got it off this past Thursday morning at 9 a.m. and I headed directly. I hadn't been out of the county for 6 months now, since the beginning of August, because of this GPS monitor thing. So I headed straight to New York City for a vacation, and right now I'm coming to you live from Brooklyn. Anyhow, to move on a little bit. Then we have adult probation. Now, adult probation, the chief is Ed McCoy. And by the way, Ed McCoy is the husband of Joy Reynolds McCoy. So we as taxpayers in Lycoming County, pay the salaries of the entire McCoy family. We pay Joy Reynolds McCoy's salary because she's a judge, but hopefully won't be once her term runs out. And we pay the salary of Chief Ed McCoy, who was just promoted to the chief of adult probation. So we the people here pay both of their salaries in Lycoming County, and we just had our taxes raised, and Ed McCoy just became the head of adult probation with a big pay raise from his former position. Now, Ed McCoy said the summary offense was a parole violation. So once again, they decided they were going to put me back in jail for 6 more days until we had a hearing for a parole violation. Now, a summary offense is like a speeding ticket. It's not criminal. It's not a misdemeanor. It's not a felony. It's like a speeding ticket. When you get a speeding ticket, that's a summary offense. Okay? So Ed McCoy, in his ultimate lack of wisdom, decided that because someone accused me of doing something wrong that was so unimportant that it was only a summary offense, and it was just an accusation. I thought in America you were innocent until proven guilty. I had to sit in jail for 6 more days till I could have a hearing. And then once I did have a hearing, I was in front of Judge Gray, and Judge Gray saw right through this garbage and said, "Hey, get him out of there. This is ridiculous." So once again, another waste of taxpayer money. And we had to waste taxpayer money to have ridiculous hearings. It cost money because they sent an attorney to those hearings, assistant district attorney. I believe it was Cuccio again that time. And they had to pay for me to be staying in jail $65-75 a night for another week. And of course, they give you 3 free meals in jail. And when you're out with an ankle monitor, you have to pay $50 to have it hooked up, and you got to pay $16 a day to have the ankle monitor on. So the truth of the matter is, in terms of money, if you're in jail, you get 3 free meals a day, and you don't have to pay anything. Now they do charge you $10 a day, but they only take the money from you if you go back to jail. So basically, you can get 3 free meals a day and stay in jail, or you can be out of jail and pay $16 a day to have this ankle monitor on you. But that $16 doesn't cover somebody watching you for 24/7. So that's Ed McCoy's office, who is the head of adult probation. He's the chief of adult probation. Then, of course, there's DA Eric Linhart, and he's the biggest waste of taxpayer money that there is. I mean, he sends attorneys to try summary offenses. Summary offenses is speeding. Any of you that have ever out there that have ever questioned a speeding ticket and you had a trial in front of a magistrate, usually a policeman goes and tries the case against you because they're the ones who saw you. But not with Eric Linhart. Eric Linhart sends assistant district attorneys that have $100,000 education just for law school and another $100,000 education in undergraduate work if they went to a private school. And he doesn't send policemen to these summary offense hearings. He sends assistant district attorneys. You talk about a waste of time and taxpayer money. Absolutely incredible. And like I said, of these four departments I'm going to name, the district attorney's office is the one that by far wastes the most money with decisions like that. And it's just incredible that we have to pay all these high taxes now, and the taxes were just raised, and we have people like Eric Linhart, who's not even from Williamsport or Lycoming County, telling us that we need to pay more, and this guy makes over $100,000 a year. And yet he's wasting taxpayer money hand over fist. And then, of course, not only is the family court, which is Judge Joy McCoy, APO, which is her husband, Ed McCoy, the district attorney, which is Eric Linhart, and, of course, domestic relations, whose chief is Patty Clementoni, the four of them work in cahoots. And Clementoni asks judges to put defendant males in jail for not paying child support rather than helping them find a job. Now think about this. Now your kid, I have a son in first grade, and he probably could figure this out. Okay? I have a son in first grade that will probably figure this out. If somebody gets put in jail, the chances of them being able to pay child support significantly decrease from the time that they weren't in jail. So if someone is not in jail, they probably can work or look for work, get a job, and try to pay child support. But if you put them in jail where you have no access to hardly anything, there's no internet, you don't have access to your cell phone, how are you going to work and make money to pay child support? I mean, it doesn't take a mental giant to figure that out. But unfortunately, people like Chief Patty Clementoni says, hey, I'm going to put people in jail when they don't pay their child support, rather than doing what the right thing, in my opinion, to do is to help those people find a job. I mean, what we should be doing with domestic relations is to help people find a job, not siding with the plaintiff female all the time and being against the defendant male. It's just incredible to me. I mean, maybe I'm a bleeding heart liberal, but it just doesn't make any sense. Like I said, you don't need to be a brain surgeon to figure that one out, that you can't make money while you're in jail. So sending people who owe child support to jail makes no sense. So between Judge Joy McCoy in family court, Ed McCoy in adult probation, Eric Linhart at the DA's office, and the head of domestic relations, Patty Clementoni, with the four of them working in cahoots, wasting our taxpayer money, no wonder our commissioners had to raise our taxes. I mean, just those four departments alone, and I have some more Lycoming County Courthouse shows coming up, by the way. Next week, we have the Drug Task Force. But anyway, just those four departments alone, I suspect, if there was an audit done, that they would be wasting hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. Now, that's not gospel. That is just my opinion, based on one case that I know of, plus talking to the other fellows who are in jail. That they must be wasting hundreds of thousands of dollars. For instance, and to give you another example of Eric Linhart's office wasting money, and Ed McCoy's office wasting money. Now, like I told you, the day after Labor Day, I had a psych evaluation done by an MD, a doctor, a psychiatrist, someone who went to medical school. Then, about a couple weeks later, they decided that, wow, I guess that doctor must not be very qualified, even though she's an MD, went to medical school and can prescribe drugs. We better get another evaluation for Mr. White. This time we're going to get a psychologist, because a psychologist has less education than a doctor. They can't prescribe drugs. They're not as highly educated. So you know what? I don't know if that doctor did a very good job, because she only went to medical school. Let's get somebody who has a master's or a doctorate in psychology and have that person do a psych evaluation on Mr. White. And you want to know something? And we're going to pay for it, because it's so important, because this MD must not know what she's doing. So the county paid almost $3,000 for some psychologist who's not a doctor, not a medical doctor, can't prescribe drugs, has less education than the medical doctor that did the psych evaluation on the day after Labor Day, had that person come in from Wilkes-Barre and do a psychological evaluation on me. And of course, the result of the psychological evaluation was exactly the same as the doctor's result, and it said, hey, Mr. White is not a threat to himself nor society. So, there's no reason for him to be in jail. And the taxpayers, you people out there, paid $3,000, just under $3,000 for that psych evaluation, because Ed McCoy's office in adult probation and Eric Linhart's office in the DA, they don't really care about how much money things cost. They just want to throw their weight around and waste taxpayer money, because they're paid by us, so it doesn't matter to them. I mean, we pay their salaries, so what do they care how much money that they waste? So I would give you this piece of advice. That is, do not vote for Eric Linhart. I mean, he's going to spend $3,000 almost on a psych evaluation for someone who was just evaluated a couple weeks ago by a medical doctor, and he wants to spend $3,000 on a psychological evaluation from a psychologist, someone with less education. And I know I'm P3 people. I just want to make sure I drive this point home. Guys like Eric Linhart and guys like Ed McCoy, if they're going to waste our money, despite the fact that we're paying taxes, our tax money is for their salaries, they don't belong there. We need to get people in there that can evaluate when things need to be done and when they don't, instead of just spending money hand over fist because it's not theirs. That makes no sense to me, and I don't like it at all. Now, those are those four offices. Like Cumming County Courthouse, before I chose to say them, they worked in cahoots, in my opinion, hand in hand. The family law judge, Jory McCoy, adult probation, Ed McCoy, DA Eric Linhart, and the domestic relations Patty Clementoni. Okay, now we are going to go to our next topic, and that is text Pete straight. Now, instead of calling, what I'd like you to do is text this cell phone number, 570-244-6600. Text Pete straight, 570-244-6600. I will read the text, and then I will read the comment if it's a comment. If it's a question, I will answer the question. Okay? And the text lines are now open. 570-244-6600. Okay, here we go. The first text is from, this person identifies themselves as Adam, and it says, you say we are family in Williamsport. I guess they're quoting me from last week, and that does make sense because I do think we should be family in Williamsport. We should not be wasting taxpayer money while we're family. And he says, what do you suggest for the Williamsport Police Department and the DA's office in terms of showing them that we're family? Well, it's pretty simple out there. Eric, I hope you're listening, even though hopefully come May you won't be the DA anymore. Someone else will be the DA-elect. But here's what you guys need to do. Chief Forsman, same thing. As soon as Gabe is out of office, chances are you'll go back to being patrolman. But here's what you need to do in the meantime, okay? What you need to do is have a beat cop, all right? Have beat cops who walk their neighborhood, all right? So we need to have a beat cop walking around the neighborhood, and when they see somebody sitting on their porch, like in the summer or in the spring or fall, and they're sitting on the porch, the policeman should walk by and say hello, tell them, hey, I'm Officer such and such, and work their way down so that pretty soon people know who their beat cops are. And so they know if something's wrong, they need to contact Officer such and such. Okay? And there should be the same guy should be walking the beat in those particular neighborhoods. So let's say that somebody has a neighborhood, let's say on Memorial Ave. They should be walking down Memorial Ave, walking down Isabella Street, walking down, First Ave, Second Ave, Third Ave, Seventh Ave. And people that see them hopefully will eventually learn the policeman's name, and then they'll say hello to the policeman. But never let them in their house without a warrant. And that the policeman will learn the resident's name so they know where people live and what's going on. And then, we could be family. And the DA's office could be involved too. I mean, Eric Linhart's not even from Cumming County, so I suspect he's probably never walked down Memorial Ave. Whereas somebody like me, I walk down Memorial Ave all the time and drive down Memorial Ave in my convertible in the summer months, saying hello to people all the time. They're like, hey, Mr. White, how you doing? Or, hey, Mr. White, do you need anything? And that's how it should be in Williamsport. Like, we are family because I am a Williamsport person, and, when I go somewhere, people say hello to me. regardless of their social status, their economic status, their gender. I'm driving down the street, and I like to drive with my top down as much as I can, because then I can say hello to people, and they can say hello to me. But I suspect that somebody like D.A. Eric Linhart has never walked down Memorial Ave, has never driven down Memorial Ave with his top down, has never talked to the common man. He lives in a glass house, way away from everybody else, and talks a big game. It doesn't come through doing anything other than wasting taxpayer money. So anyhow, that's my suggestion to you people. If you're the DA, you need to get to meet the townspeople. You need to get to meet people in the county. Of course, the DA is a county office, so it's more than just Williamsport. Whereas like the city police and chief swordsman he needs to have people walk the beat so that you have a local policeman. That's my answer, Adam. That was a great question from Adam. I appreciate that. And it looks like I got another text coming in, and this is from Steph. Steph asks, this is a funny question. Steph asks, would you spar a female? And I think in the piece that we showed, I said that, hey, I think that women are equal to men. In fact, there's one thing women can do that men can't do, and that is that women can bear children and men can't. That anything that men can do, women can do, and we should treat them as equals. And we should not just treat them as equals when it comes to things that are advantageous to women, like opening car doors for them. I don't open car doors for men unless I happen to be standing at the door already. And same thing with going out to eat. If you want to do things that are equal for both people, either Dutch or one person pays this time and somebody else pays next time. So of course I would spar a female. As I told you before, boxing goes by weight. So yes, I would spar a female. It would be a good workout because I'm having trouble getting sparring partners as it is. That's number one. And number two is that, as I said earlier in the day, because Chief Forsman and D.A. Linhart did not have the courtesy to even get back to me, now I need to look for somebody else to have for the event on Friday or Saturday in May, the Boxing for Charity by Pete White Productions. So I'm going to throw it out there again. Here's what it could look like. Headline: Joy the Toy McCoy against Pete the Italian Stallion White. Okay, so Joy, if you're listening out there, if you think women are equal, get in the ring and let's raise some money for charity. And if you don't think that that's your thing, that's no problem. I can understand. My next challenge would go out to Ed the Boy McCoy. Ed the Boy McCoy is not a female, he's a male, and I know that Joy does not think that males and females are the same. She treats females as a lesser sex. So she can have Ed the Boy McCoy come out and fight for charity. So here's your chance, Ed. Get out there, let's raise some money for charity. Get in the ring, see what you got, and don't worry, McCoys, either one of you. You do not have to get down to 195 pounds. Even though boxing is by weight, I don't care how much you weigh. If you guys come in over 200 pounds, that's no problem. I don't mind. You can come in at any weight you want, and I'll just be at my normal weight. Okay? So there you go. Okay, so there you go. I have a challenge out there for Friday or Saturday in May. I have everything set. All I need is an opponent. And once I get an opponent, we can have Joy the Toy McCoy against the Italian Stallion Pete White, or Ed the Boy McCoy against the Italian Stallion Pete White. All you have to do is show up and put on a show, so we can raise some money for charity. I already have a comedian, an MC, and a musician that's going to take care of entertaining people until the fight. Now, I got something here that looks like a statement. Let's see if it has a name. It does not have a name, but it says, Pete, psychologists are uniquely qualified to assess mental health issues, not psychiatrists, and they actually have more education than MDs. Anyone who has an idea about the mental health system or forensic mental health knows that, but keep on spouting yourself serving BS. Okay, I appreciate your opinion. Reasonable people disagree, but it seems to me that doctors have much more education than, let's say, like the mayor. The mayor has a PhD, I think, from the University of Miami. I've been told that's the Harvard from the South, but I really don't think that that's true. This person thinks that psychiatrists have more education. Psychologists have more education than psychiatrists, and I respect that opinion, and that may be true, but I don't happen to believe that. It seems to me that MDs have more education than PhDs. Like I said, our mayor, he has a PhD from the Harvard of the South, the University of Miami. Same as Jerome Brown, same as many football players, have bachelor's degrees from there. Like I said, I respect other people's opinions. I just disagree with that particular one. Now it says, Pete, I will spar you, laugh out loud. But of course, there's no name here, so I really don't know who the heck that is. But yeah, give me a name and we'll get some sparring done. Because I need, like I said, I need to make sure I'm in shape for when we raise some money for charity. We should embrace diversity and we should promote unity in Lycoming County and the city of Williamsport, because we are family. So if you want to I have your phone number here, and I'll get back to you with the name. But I would like to find somebody out there that would like to spar. And like I said, when I get an opponent for the charity event, even though the McCoys probably weigh more than I do, they can box at whatever weight they want to box at. But I'm going to come in at 195 or less. I don't care how much they weigh. Okay, now I got another one. This says, why don't you have a meeting with the DA instead of bashing him on this show? It comes from John. Okay, John, I'll tell you why. I mean, the DA has not returned my phone calls for a couple months. So how am I going to set up a meeting with somebody whose office doesn't return the person who's been paying their taxpayer money since I was 18 years old? I've been paying Lycoming County taxes, and I have not gotten a call back from anyone in the DA's office. Not only not Eric Linhart, I didn't get a call back from Ken Ossico, who I had to call a number of times, and he's never called me back. I didn't get a phone call from any of the paralegals, the secretaries. The only person in the DA's office that called me back was a detective, and that was one time. So the chances of having a meeting with Eric Linhart are pretty slim, considering he doesn't return phone calls and doesn't have the courtesy to let people know what the answer is when they request something. Which is why I said, as we said before, someone just texted in, and this is, let me see the name here. They don't have a name, but it says, also, don't vote for Linhart. That someone just texted that in, and I agree with that. I mean, I've been paying taxes since I was 18. I make a phone call to Linhart, and he doesn't respond. So I make another phone call to Linhart, and he doesn't respond. I mean, that's pretty amazing to me. Okay, now we got another one here. No name. Instead of blaming judges and district attorneys, by the way, district attorneys is not possessive, whoever did this text. That's a pet peeve I have of people from Lycoming County. If something is not possessive, you don't need an apostrophe S. In this case, district attorneys, that's just plural. There's no apostrophe. But instead of blaming judges and district attorneys, it should not be apostrophe S, it's just plural, for wasting taxpayers' money. Why don't we blame our fellow taxpayers for wasting money by committing these crimes and placing themselves in the system? It's quite simple. You don't want money wasted. Don't commit crimes. Well, what I'm telling you is that there's people who are not committing crimes and the DA's office is wasting money on them. I mean, for instance, Eric Linhart is sending assistant district attorneys who are highly educated, or at least went to law school. I'm not really sure where they went to law school, but they did go to law school somewhere to get to pass the bar. They're highly educated people who are going to summary offense hearings. That is a waste of taxpayer money. Summary offenses are not crimes. It's not a misdemeanor. It's not a felony. It's like a speeding ticket. Okay? So it's not about people not committing crimes. And also in America, until you're found guilty of something, you're supposed to be innocent. So if you're innocent and still found guilty, you're telling people not to commit crimes. Until there's a hearing, you are innocent. So I'm not exactly sure. I mean, you must be a right-wing Republican, and I can understand that. But maybe you should learn about the Constitution. Make sure that you tune in to Civics 101 every week with Pete White. Okay? Civics 101. Okay. See, I think I'm going to take one more call here. Let me go back. How about boxing a CO from Lycoming County Prison? No problem. I mean, I would start with the warden, and then if people still are not taking my challenges, then I'll work my way down to a CO. That's no problem. By the way, when I was in Lycoming County Prison, I did ask the COs to play Jeopardy against me. I told a couple of different COs on different days to get 5 individuals, get 5 other COs plus yourself, and play Jeopardy against me at 7:30 on NBC. Not once did any of those guys ever take me up on my offer. Okay? So I have no problem with COs. I gave them an opportunity to play Jeopardy against me. I also asked them if they would play basketball with the fellas, and they never took me up on that offer either. None of those guys ever wanted to play basketball with the fellas. So, I mean, if they want to box, that's fine. But my guess is that if they don't want to do Jeopardy and they don't want to play basketball, chances are they don't want to box. Okay, this is the last text I'm going to say. Let's see here. How dare you challenge a female judge? Shame on you, Pete. I hope Chief Forsman beats your behind. Shelley. Okay, Shelley, No problem. Like I said, Shelley, I think that men and women are equal. So if men and women are equal, then, it should not matter whether you're male or female. So I'm standing by my side. Joy the toy, Ed the boy. You two are the next people up on the list. Hopefully we'll get somebody to respond very soon. Anyhow, I got to go to the civics lesson. All right, I got to go. So thank you very much for all those texts. I appreciate it. And we'll have that again next week. Text Pete straight. Okay, now the civics lesson. Civics 101 with Pete White. Okay, now, as you know, I call myself Pete the Repeat because that's how you learn things. So I want to review very quickly before I get to today's civics lesson. Number one is Pete the Repeat. Okay, our first show, I advise people to do not waive your constitutional right to a search. That if a policeman asks you to search your vehicle or to search your house, or if they can come in your house, definitely decline. Okay, definitely decline. Because they're asking you to waive your constitutional right. And in my opinion, you should never waive your constitutional rights. Number two, which was last week, the Civics 101 lesson was very simple. Register and then vote. Make sure you're registered to vote 30 days before the May primary. Your address is updated. You know where your voting precinct is. You know where the polling place is. And then make sure that in May and in November that you vote. Every primary and every general election you vote, whether it's for president or not. Even in non-presidential years, you need to vote because very important things happen at the local and state level. Like, for instance, the mayor is going to be running, I assume, for re-election, and we got to make sure he doesn't get re-elected. The DA is going to be running for re-election. We got to make sure he doesn't get re-elected. Sheriff Lusk, I believe, is running for re-election. He's what's called a row office in Lycoming County. We got to make sure he doesn't get re-elected. And Sheriff Lusk talks a big game, but he can't back it up. So it's amazing when someone's in handcuffs. Sheriff Lux, can run at the mouth. But when someone is not in handcuffs and he sees them on the street, he turns his head the other way and puts his shoulders and collar up and walks around like pretending he doesn't see that person. So it's kind of funny, guys like Sheriff Lusk, they talk a big game, but then when push comes to shove, they can't back it up. I mean, we don't want guys like that in office. I mean, he's supposed to be a law enforcement officer. How can a law enforcement officer only talk to somebody, when they have handcuffs on? When they don't have handcuffs on, Sheriff Lusk, he curls up like in a corner somewhere. But anyhow, the civics lesson for today, and that is this: hire an attorney and be quiet. So in other words, when you read your rights, and by the way, I was never read my rights because, like I said, I did not commit any crime. I was not accused of a crime, so I wasn't read my rights because I wasn't accused of a crime. But when you read your rights, if you're accused of a misdemeanor or a felony, do not waive your right to counsel. Keep your rights and be quiet and don't say anything. Wait for your counsel to arrive. And you should, if you can, try to hire private counsel. Because just as an example, one thing I learned about the public defender's office, that it's just having an attorney. Sometimes it's just having an attorney in name, but not substance. When I had my first hearing, half an hour before the hearing, I was at the jail, and on video camera, they put a public defender on there, on video camera, and asked me, hey, what's going on in your case, or what happened? And I said, look, I'm not going to share that with you because I have a private attorney. And she was like, oh, okay, good, send the next person in. So she had a bunch of people that she was going to meet with in the half an hour before our hearings, and they probably got 5 minutes apiece, and that was it. Now, I'm not sure how that is a right, that's really having a right to an attorney. You have a public defender, that's ridiculous. I mean, it sounds like the common name that I heard was public pretender. If you're going to spend 5 minutes or less with somebody half an hour before a hearing that decides whether you're going to spend time in jail or not, that's not having a good attorney. And so what my suggestion is to hire a private attorney, because then if you're paying them, they'd have an incentive to do a little bit better. Because once again, the public defenders were paying their salaries with taxpayer money. So the third Civics 101 lesson, the lesson for today is that do not give up your right to be silent, and make sure that you don't say anything until your attorney is present. And if you end up having a public defender, make sure the public defender does something or request a different one. Don't just have them meet with you 5 minutes before a hearing and say, hey, what happened? That's ridiculous. And I hope that doesn't happen in other counties like it does in Lycoming County. All right, now Stephen is trying to let me know something here, because as you know, I'm not in the studio today. I am in Brooklyn tonight, coming to you live. Oh, Stephen wants me to go to the sponsors. Okay, very good. Okay. But before I get to the sponsors, quick shout-outs. Once again, my paisans here in Brooklyn. shout out to my paisans here in Brooklyn. I finally, after 6 months, got a chance to come and see them. It had been quite some time. And then, of course, H Block Totally Mental. Shout out to those guys. Now the sponsors. You can call or text 570-244-6600 during business hours, which is 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. Of course, this Monday is Martin Luther King Day, which is one of the reasons I'm here for the holiday weekend. But the office will not be open on Monday for Martin Luther King Day in observance of a great man who believed in passive resistance, who did not believe in violence. And by the way, just like many other people who, I got that comment from someone texting about you shouldn't commit a crime that it wouldn't waste taxpayer money. Keep in mind, Martin Luther King was arrested many, many times, and chances are he did nothing criminal, but he was arrested anyway and spent time in jail. And of course, those of you that know much about any type of 20th century history, the president of South Africa had spent almost 30 years in jail before he became president, and that was Mandela, who just died recently. So, like I said, in America, you're supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. Just because someone's arrested does not mean that they committed a crime. They have to be convicted in a trial of their peers. Okay? So, think about that. Think about it. I'm not sure if our school system is doing a good job of teaching people about civics, because you're innocent until proven guilty. When you're arrested, that doesn't mean you committed a crime. Martin Luther King was arrested many times and never committed a crime, and now we have a day dedicated to him because of his leadership, because of his non-violence. And then Nelson Mandela, spent almost 30 years in jail, probably never committed a crime. So the waste of taxpayer money was not by Nelson Mandela, it was by the South African government. And there's many other examples of that. Maybe if you knew history a little bit better, you would realize that because you get sent to prison does not mean you committed a crime. And in this county, that happens a lot, and that's, in my opinion, that's a very big waste of taxpayer money. Now, I know I ran over a lot today, but I'm not in the studio, so I don't have, Steven doesn't have as tight a leash on me as he normally does. That's my producer. So once again, sponsors, 570-244-6600. Call during business hours, which generally is Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, but not tomorrow because I will be here in Brooklyn celebrating Martin Luther King Day. Okay, now here we go. Our last thing of the night is our outro. Two things. Number one is next week, the Drug Task Force, Lycoming County Drug Task Force, and evaluate that next Sunday at 8 p.m. Please tune in to the Pete White Show live at 8 p.m. next Sunday, January the 25th. The only football next Sunday, by the way, is the Pro Bowl. There's no reason not to hear the show live, and I appreciate everyone who's listened tonight and watched, either on your cell phone or your computer or on your television. And we have a San Francisco girls tribute band to Led Zeppelin called Zarella. Check them out after you hear their music right now. Check them out on their website and on YouTube. Zarella, San Francisco girls tribute band to Led Zeppelin. We're going to try to get them to come to Williamsport. Pete White Productions will be trying to get them to come to Williamsport to do a show. So here's a preview of what they are. Live. I believe this is a live show, but as I said, I'm not in the studio, so here it is.
when the